Ladies and gentlemen, this is ProWSoul from prowsoul.co.uk, and I just want to say, first of all, thank you for listening to this. I very much appreciate it, and please like, subscribe, and share in general. Anyway, let's get on to the topic of the day, and today's topic is Dean Ambrose. Yeah. Now, Dean Ambrose is a guy who's a very versatile, a creative wrestler. The unfortunate thing is he is in a bit of a limbo land. No one really knows, quite frankly, what to do with Dean Ambrose. And he's having a feud right now with Eric Rowan. And quite frankly, it just seems a bit pointless, really. I'm sure Dean Ambrose is going to build it up somehow, make it interesting somehow. However, it's not really getting him anywhere, is it? Now, let's start from the beginning with Dean Ambrose. When he decided to become the single star, as opposed to the trifecta of the Shield, when the Shield actually broke up. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, people. Dean Ambrose, on his own, really stood out. He actually stood out the most out of all three of the guys. Seth Rollins did great as a heel, there's no doubt about it. He is a great heel, without a doubt. Roman Reigns, he's just being himself, believe that, and he was going up slowly. It was a slow burn, and people were starting to like him, and then he got injured, and then that's where it kind of went. The problem really lied with Roman, unfortunately for him. But with Dean Ambrose, he started off at a vibe like Stone Cold Steve Austin did. And not only that, he was starting to beat up Seth Rollins, just the same way he used to. Well, Stone Cold used to beat The Rock sometimes on occasions, but it was really enjoyable to see him fight the Authority, and he was getting in that mode. But Stone Cold, I remember, was saying he's more like Roddy Piper, and the thing is, Roddy Piper was great, and respect to Roddy Piper, he was great, but at some point of his career he became more comedic. He just became more of a comedy guy as opposed to the guy who was making fun, but also meant some, when he was serious, he was serious. And I think that's where the problem is lying with Dean Ambrose, is he's going down that Roddy Piper route where, you don't see him to be that serious. You just see him as a creative guy who's just completely random, and I think they've named him as well. I forgot what they've named him. His nickname is I don't know what his nickname is at the top of my head, but yeah, they're pushing him in the wrong direction because they're trying to make him out as though he's just a crazy loose cannon, and that's not the case when he was actually starting off. He was definitely going down the Stone Cold route. However, I think as the WWE, they never pushed him in the right direction, and I do feel as though they missed quite a few boats on Dean Ambrose. Especially when he was facing Bray Wyatt, that feud, that could have gone on for months. That could have gone on past WrestleMania 31. It could have gone on till SummerSlam if it really wanted to, because they were basically just fighting each other, and they were aggressive. They didn't like each other. It was just crazy, and they were constantly fighting. This is what was really bad about that feud, and which kind of messed it all up. Every single event that they had a main event. It was like on Monday they had a Hell in a Cell. On Thursday they had on SmackDown. I don't know when SmackDown is really aired. I'm not too sure when it's actually filmed, because sometimes they film it on Tuesdays, don't they, as well? So on Friday, or SmackDown as it's supposed to be, they had these second big main event, and then they had a big main event on the main event on pay-per-view card, and then they had a main event on Raw again, and then they had a main event on SmackDown again, and they just kept on having main events, and it got to a point where they were just so constantly wrestling each other, and there were main events. They were like having Hell in a Cell on, I think, yeah, they had a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view card, and then on Monday they had a street fight or ambulance match, and then on SmackDown they had another cage match, I think it was, and it got to a point where they never gave him any breathing room to grow or even think about what can we do with this, where can we go in terms of direction with this, in terms of even the wrestling match as a whole. Should we add some new moves here and there? Should we kind of do something here and there? They didn't have any build up. It was just like constant, and I think they messed that feud up completely. That was a great feud between Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose, because it was kind of like distinguishing who is the real bad dude, the man, the biggest heel. Is it Bray Wyatt or is it Dean Ambrose? And we were coming to conclusion, and it came to the conclusion where Bray Wyatt won, because I think it was, I don't know, I think it was the ambulance match where it kind of ended the feud for that particular time, maybe, where he chucked him inside and it ended it after doing all that ladder match and everything else. It was a crazy match. I loved it. The only thing was it was just too quick. There was just too much happening too soon. You didn't give them time to build the characters, and I think that's where it fell apart. And now we're here where forget Bray Wyatt at the present time. We're talking Dean Ambrose, where Dean Ambrose right now is fighting Eric Rowan for no apparent reason, and he just in WrestleMania time he was just running off with the title from Wade Barrett, and it's just now he's in complete limbo land. Now what should Dean Ambrose do? Now I have to say, straight after WrestleMania, the match what we saw, which was interesting on Raw, was John Cena versus Dean Ambrose. I thought, yeah, this is going to be interesting, this is going to be good. The only thing I have to say about that match is you did kind of see a bit of problems with Dean Ambrose. And that is, it does seem as though he's like 50 pounds short in terms of weight from John Cena. And John Cena, it does seem like he could have taken his punishment constantly all day, and he was kind of overselling it, and it did kind of look a bit fake. And that was the impression that I got. And I think with Dean Ambrose is that he does rush it a bit too much. When he's throwing his punches, throwing his stuff, doing his thing, he does rush it a bit too much. He needs to kind of slow down a little, and definitely I do feel as though he needs to put more muscle on, because I don't know, I think this is the best thing for him to do for his career, and I really mean that, because if you look at Stone Cold Steve Austin, now he was stunning Steve Austin, and when he even came to as a ringmaster, he was a little bit skinny, but he was not big. You know what I mean? He wasn't a 250 guy. When he started becoming Stone Cold and he started getting into his skin, he put on weight, and it was good weight, and it was just weight, it was muscle, and you could actually feel that, yeah, he could whoop someone's rear end, and that is the case with Dean Ambrose. We need him to put on some muscle, so it feels as though that, you know what, if you get this guy angry, he will smack you, and he will beat you down. And I think he can do that. He definitely needs to do that. He has got all the skills. He's got the mic skills. He's got the wrestling skills. He does rush it too much. He needs to kind of slow it down, so then, we can admire the whole wrestling work as a whole. But I do feel as though he does fall short in terms of his muscle, and it's clear to see. I mean, you saw him against John Cena. It did look like he was in a different weight class. He looked like he was in a cruiserweight fighting a heavyweight, but he still, held his own. But I do feel as though he could put on the power. But clearly, the following week after, when he fought Eric Rowan, you could see he was in a different league as well in terms of um, he looked like more of a super heavyweight, Eric Rowan, compared to Dean Ambrose, and I think that's where the shortfall lies. So I think if people need to start taking Dean Ambrose seriously, he needs to go the Stone Cold route instead of the Rowdy Piper route, and that's no offense to Rowdy Piper because he had a great career, but WWE kind of pushed him in the joke direction. But I still respect him very, very much so. So don't. I'm not disrespecting his career, but if I was going to push someone down a route, I would say you'd want them to go down the Stone Cold route because he went from a stunning Steve Austin, from a 200-pound guy, 210, 220-pound guy, to Stone Cold, where he put on a bit of muscle and shaved hair off, and he got serious, and the thing was perfect. I think the same thing with him is, I don't think he needs to shave his hair. No, it's fine. Add a bit of muscle. Start banging these guys big time a bit. Because if you look at Daniel Bryan, his height's not there. His height's not there. He's a 5'8" or 5'9", whatever it is. But with his muscle, you can clearly see that he can whoop some guys. He can whoop them badly. Just watch the matches against him and Sheamus. Sheamus got tired out, and he's a 6'6", 260-something guy. So, Dean Ambrose, put some muscle on, guy. Go down the Stone Cold Steve Austin route, and that's no disrespect to Rowdy Piper. You are the man, Rowdy Piper. In professional wrestling, a lot of guys have, become huge because of you. So, CM Punk, everybody else like that, they followed your direction. So I'm not disrespecting you. I just feel as though Dean Ambrose needs to go this apparent route. Otherwise, he's not going to be a big main events guy. And I do want to see him further his career and become better and better. Because honestly, out of the three out of a Shield who are going to become stars, the guy who shone the highest in terms of his star power was Dean Ambrose. But what did WWE do? They didn't know what to do. They just pushed him around a different direction because they wanted to push Roman Reigns. Wrong thing to do, guys. And they grabbed a hold of Seth Rollins and decided to put him part of the upper group. Again, stop doing that, WWE. WWE, you got some great talent. You got Dean Ambrose, great guy. You need to make the most out of him. I mean, if he's not going to put any muscle in, then at least, equal the score a bit. Get some steel chairs. Start whacking them against guys like Eric Rowan, etc. Do a bit of cheating. Just equal the score a bit. Don't become a wimp, but go out there and equal it, which he is. But I think he needs to add some more muscle, and that would be it. If he could do another feud with Bray Wyatt, by all means, great for him. But I think if he could do anything, Dean Ambrose, if he could do anything, him and what's his name, Daniel Bryan, that would be a great feud for him. I think Daniel Bryan versus Dean Ambrose would be great in general. I mean, Daniel Bryan's already made star. Dean Ambrose is already made, but their dynamic would be just great to put together. Or just get him back in there with the the John Cena again, and basically try to rattle his cage. Kind of do that type of feud where Stone Cold did with Bret Hart, where he just wouldn't leave Bret Hart alone. But Bret Hart in this situation will be John Cena, and Dean Ambrose will be like, "No way, man! I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna take that title regardless. I don't give a damn what it takes." And that would just be awesome. But first things first, Not Daniel Bryan, Dean Ambrose. Put some weight on, dude. Not weight, muscle. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening to this. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that he should put on some muscle, and what should be next to him? I think, yeah, the two titles. What I'm saying is maybe Daniel Bryan.